Hey, Jonathan Kane here, going to discuss a little bit with you about my experience with praying for someone today for the 4 and 5 healing prayer video. My experience actually happened just a few hours ago in a Wednesday night life group that I teach at my church. We were going around the room at the beginning of, well, actually, let me back up here. I was having a conversation as before class with one of my students in the class, and we were just making small talk about her daughter, and she mentioned that her and her daughter have not talked in quite some time. She had actually, matter of fact, she said years. So don't know exactly how long it's been, but it's been quite a while to not speak to one of your own children. But as she began to speak, I could sense in the spirit hurt and a lot of pain and anguish due to this relationship or lack thereof of this relationship, and immediately started to feel the spirit, an unction of the spirit. Like we have prayer requests at the beginning of class that we always do. We open with prayer, ask if anybody needs prayer or whatever. But I felt that this was definitely going to go beyond that. But anyways, as we get going, I hear the Lord drop in my spirit about resurrection to dead things. And the first thing like I said, it was almost like it just dropped in my spirit, was Ezekiel's dry bones. Talking from Ezekiel 37, and how the prophet was prophesying to this valley of dry bones, and these things lived. And I felt the Spirit of the Lord tell me that He was going to breathe on this relationship like He breathed on dry bones, and like how with His breath and His Spirit, when it comes on things, it can bring resurrection and new life to things, just like it did with Ezekiel in the valley of dry bones. So anyways, He gives me this nugget, this little word of knowledge for her, and as I share it with her, and then we begin to pray and come into agreement, things got a little emotional in the class, of course, as she was being touched by this. And at the end of it all, as much as she was blessed by it, and someone taking the time out of class, out of their day, to come into agreement and really care, I think first and foremost about what was going on in her life. And I know this isn't like what some would consider like a physical infirmity, although it kind of is, because she was emotionally wrecked about this. So your emotions are part of your physical being. So as we're praying for emotional restitution in her life, and that this relationship is resurrected with her and her daughter, and that praying for salvation for her daughter, things like that, it was a huge blessing to her. I know that it was. And here's what's super cool, and this is always how this ends up working, is it was a huge blessing to me, not because of course I needed to do it for this video or anything, because I would have done it anyways. But what I'm getting at is that as you're blessing others with prayer of healing, and whatever you're praying for them, I believe that to a degree that is blessing the person who's praying for that individual. So what was really cool about this was, and this was a really weird turn of events, was that I actually knew her daughter from like middle school and into high school. I like went through probably like a 10 years worth of school, 8 years worth of school with her daughter. So it was kind of weird how God orchestrated all of that. And I don't believe in like coincidence or any kind of stuff like that. I call that a divine appointment. I knew her daughter from years ago, and I haven't seen her, of course, in years. As we've all grown older, I didn't get out of high school, everybody just going their separate ways. But I actually ended up knowing her daughter, which was like, it made it so much more personable. Which again, this just shows how God orchestrates things. And I think what was the coolest thing was that somebody cared enough to stop and take time and really speak into that, and speak hope speak resurrection to this dead thing, this relationship, and most of all, just to care and just love on people. Because when you go back and you look at it at the end of it all, that's what Jesus did. He loved on people, man. He cared for people, and that's what we're called to do. Above all else, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So at the end of the day, that's what I think all of this is about. Of course, the healings and us seeing these dead things come back to life. That's evidence of the kingdom, man. I mean, that is what it's all about, because we are calling down things from heaven. We're calling down that breath of God that can breathe life into dead things, into the here and now. And that's what's so cool about getting to partake in things like this. So hope you were blessed. Hope you were encouraged by this. And I'll be talking to you all sometime soon. Thank you for listening.